Welcome into the Saints Insider Podcast. Today is Friday, August the 15th. I'm Zach Ewing, joined today in studio by Rod Walker and Jeff Duncan, our esteemed columnists for the Times-Picayune. Our beat writers, nowhere to be found. Maybe, if you look up in the air, you might see them land at MSY here in a couple of hours. They are on their way back from the Saints California excursion. We're going to start there. We got a preseason game to talk about against the Jacksonville Jaguars coming up Sunday at the Dome. But first, let's kind of recap. Won't say what we saw because none of us saw much out there in California, but what we heard about and where the Saints are compared to maybe when they left. And I said this last week, Rod, but like this camp, the time's kind of ticking down on this camp. I mean, they only had 3 practices last week in California. They got the preseason game Sunday. I think they probably take Monday off, and they probably take Friday off because they play Saturday preseason week 3. So you're probably only looking at 3 practices this coming week, and then it's cut down day. Like, time's ticking.
Yeah, I think just the way the camp was broken up with them splitting it up here and there, I think it just attributed to that. Then you have the games mixed in. So, yeah, this is it's going by pretty fast and faster than normal. So
it feels that way, and it still feels like there are so many decisions to be made, and quarterback's the obvious one. But you look all over this roster, and I don't think we know nearly as much as you usually know at this point.
Yeah, I think obviously quarterback's the big thing we're talking about, and I guess we're going to get more into that later. But, yeah, there's some stuff that we talked about at the beginning of camp, like, oh, they need to find this, and, here we are 3 weeks later, they still haven't really found it. So they have to – this game on Sunday against Jacksonville is going to be really, really important, I think, as far as some guys kind of separating themselves from the rest of the pack and earning a spot on this roster.
Yeah. Jeff, we were talking off camera. You are not exactly awash in typical preseason optimism with this team right now.
Well, I thought it was a pretty disappointing performance against the Chargers. It's also kind of boring, frankly. Preseason games tend to be that way, but it was kind of a meh performance by everybody. Hard to hang your hat on much. I do think, getting back to the Rams, and I know we're going to go into more depth there, but I do think that was important for them to get that work. I mean, they didn't have anybody to have a joint practice. This thing kind of cropped up impromptu, and they got a lot of reps in. So for this staff, new schemes on both sides of the ball, that was an important evaluation day for them. So I think between now you have the Chargers, you have this joint practice, and then you've got another game coming up. In like a 1 week period, you're going to have 3 really good evaluation tools, and I think it'll help this staff kind of make some decisions, because I agree with you, Zach. Right now, there's just a lot of unanswered questions, and I don't know how many questions got answered, I guess, is what I'm getting at in that Chargers game. I didn't feel like I came away from that game knowing a whole lot more about this team.
Yeah, I think the joint practices are, and I think coaches would agree, but the joint practices are actually probably better than the game, just because you're getting, you're getting the first team guys and you're facing somebody new. So in the games, you're gonna get a lot of backup. So that helps.
Getting ones on ones and stuff like that.
Outside of Matthew Stafford not starting for the Rams because he's still banged up, but I agree with that, and I think we can kind of go into what we saw from that joint practice. The Saints did live stream it, so we were able to watch some. Obviously, you're only getting one camera angle and all of that. It's not the same as being there, but I want to start with Chase Young, and I guess Rod, let's talk Chase Young. I don't know if he's getting 15.5 sacks. He looks good in this defense, and we've seen that throughout camp. We saw it in camp last year, but to see it, as you said, in a joint practice against another team, it was really, I think, a heartening thing for the Saints.
Yeah, I was just a year early on my predictions, but yeah, they're going to come true. But no, I mean, he's played really well in camp, throughout camp. I mean, you could make an argument that he's been, I don't know if you'd say the defensive MVP during camp, but he's definitely in that conversation. I think he's this defense plays into his strengths, and I think we're going to see that. And it's kind of a year for him where he's not coming off the injury like last year. He was obviously rehabbing the neck injury, so couldn't really, go as hard. But, I mean, I think now he's kind of like where he wants to be. So we might see that rookie Chase Young finally.
Yeah, I mean, if there is a star player on this defense, it's going to be him, I think. Are we in agreement with that?
Yeah, I think everyone's been waiting on his breakout year again in the league, and this looks like he's poised for it. He's happy. He's healthy.
He's gotten paid.
He got paid. I mean, he's not looking over his shoulder about anything. I mean, and I have to say, you have to give the Saints credit because they took a roll of the dice on him and I think it's going to pay off. And also, I think their culture, some of the things. I mean, he had options. He could have gone somewhere else, and he wanted to stay here. When frankly, there are a lot of players wanting to stay here. So I think it speaks to the organization a little bit that they identified him and then have kind of been patient with him. And it seems like he's blossoming. I mean, I think people forget also he's only 26. He's not an old player by any means. So he came into the league very young out of Ohio State and had a little bit of setback with some injuries. But the Saints, I know Brandon Staley feels like this scheme is perfect for him, and he's lighter. And I think he's probably playing at the weight he needed to be playing at all along. So, yeah, I think Rod's right. I think between him and Kool-Aid McKinstry, those have been the two defensive standouts for camp.
I mean, if you consider a guy's prime to be like age 26 to maybe 32, like he's just entering that. So there is a possibility we see a jump from him. Other joint practice takeaways, Jeff, let's leave the quarterbacks aside for a second because we'll dig into that in a minute. But did anything else stick out to you about what you either saw on the stream or what you've read?
Well, I thought Chase Young was encouraging. The other flip side of that, discouraging for me, was the offensive line. I thought that was a discouraging element of that Chargers game the other day. We saw both quarterbacks under a lot of pressure, dodging and darting in the backfield. And it wasn't just the backups. I mean, the starters were also getting struggles in protection, and that was also the case against the Rams. Now, the Rams have Jared Verse, and they have some elite
Byron Young
guys up front, but I mean, everyone in the league's got those kind of guys. So and this was not backups; this was their starters. And so I think what we're seeing, a continuing pattern here, and our resident offensive line expert on the other side of the glass here, Norm, would attest. This is a decent run blocking group. Pass protection is just a complete mixed bag with this group, and I think that's how they've been evaluated over the years, and it's continuing to be a trend. And so you have to balance that a little bit when you watch practices, because lots of times we're like, man, look at this pass rush the Saints have revitalized, but it might just be the offensive line not being as good as maybe it should be.
Yeah, we talked some on Wednesday's episode with Luke and Matt about the O-line injuries, and Rod, you wrote a column about it. I don't know how we got to this point, but the health of Trevor Penning seems pretty darn important to this team.
Yeah, well, I think the health of all five of those first five guys that have been together throughout camp the entire time. I mean, it's been Fuaga, Penning, McCoy, Ruiz, and Kevin Banks, and that's who you want to see playing, because those are the guys who've been getting all the reps, and that's who they're kind of counting on. And the depth is really thin after those guys, and that's even before Clapp and Saldivari got injured. So that's a concern. And Jeff talked about the pass rush. I mean, it's kind of hard to evaluate the quarterback sometimes because the pass rush has been so bad.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a concern if they don't get the lines not good.
And they didn't run the ball that well against the Chargers. I think they're going to make that a point of emphasis this week. I mean, they've got it. If this offense has any chance, right, they've got to be able to run the ball, and they've got to run better than they did a year ago and what we've seen so far.
Well, and that's what I was going to say is I think part of the problem with evaluating this preseason is that they're trying to evaluate the quarterbacks, and so they want to get those guys reps, but that doesn't play into what they actually want to do when the regular season starts. It doesn't play into the strength of the offensive line. So now we're like, that hampers your evaluation of the quarterbacks. It also hampers your performance in the preseason, which isn't really worth anything, fine. But like if the preseason is prep for the regular season, the running backs only had 15 carries on Sunday. Like that's half of what they're going to have in some of these if the Saints play the way they want to.
And that's true, and I totally agree. But like we haven't even seen that in camp. Like I think that scrimmage they had a 126 play scrimmage, I may have seen one run longer than 12 yards. Maybe not. I mean, Kendra had a nice run.
They threw like 85 passes. I think that I can't remember what the number was. It was like really high. So I mean, the ratio of pass and run throughout camp has been like that.
But the best friend to a young quarterback is a good defense and a running game. And really, that's to me the question mark right now is can they run the ball? We know that's what Kellen Moore did a year ago with that big offensive line in Philly. I don't think he's got quite that type of unit here, but we know they're going to have to try and shorten games and stuff with the inexperienced at quarterback, and I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's just not what we're expecting to see from them in the regular season, and so it's hard to make heads or tails of anything right now in some ways. Do want to let you know that Saints Insider is sponsored by Bank Plus. From small business to big business, home loans to bank anywhere technology, Bank Plus is here for New Orleans. New deposit customers can reach out today to learn about incredible rate specials. Learn more at bankplus.net. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. All right, let's talk quarterbacks before we dig into this preseason game. Everybody who watched that joint practice yesterday seemed to say both Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shough looked pretty good. They've had their moments, certainly. It's hard to get a read on who's ahead right now, Rod.
Yeah, I mean, I think when they went to California, I thought there was a little gap, and I thought Spencer Rattler had pulled ahead. But I think after the game against the Chargers, I think Shough closed that gap tremendously, and I think it's pretty close race right now. Like earlier, I was saying if the Saints had a game tomorrow, Spencer Rattler starts, and maybe he still does. But I do think Shough has definitely put himself in the conversation, and if you started him, I don't think you'd be going wrong either way at this point.
Yeah, and that's one positive, Jeff, is like Tyler Shough has shown, I think, a lot of growth over 3 weeks here. Like he's much better than he was the first week. That's what you want to see. That's what you expect to see. And if that continues, by the end of the season, Tyler Shough is probably your starter. I'm still not sure about the beginning.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think, let's look at it this way through this kind of prism. I think Tyler Shough is the long-term plan. Now, what the short-term plan is, I think is still up in the air, whether they start Rattler to start the season. Regardless, I think the guy here, at least for the time being, is Tyler Shough. So when that happens, does he need more time to bake in the oven, as DA said? Maybe so. But you can just see this is the guy they kind of want to be the guy. I mean, he's 6'5". I think the maturity, all the things that they like make sense for this team in transition. They're going to go through ups and downs. Is he going to be the guy that can kind of get them through that? I just don't know if he'll start the season or not. And I don't think that really matters either. But how good is he? I don't know. I don't think we'll know until he starts playing, and then it's going to take some time. I mean, I think back to these rookies of a year ago. Caleb Williams struggled. Drake May sat half the season. Michael Penix didn't get on the field until late. Most of these guys were not. Jaden Daniels, I think, is a little bit more the exception than the rule. Even Bo Nix.
Right. But when the Broncos
struggled.
came to the Dome midway through last season, almost midway through, Bo Nix was still a liability. He got better toward the end of the year, but he was a slow starter too.
You could see him getting a little bit better every week, and the staff figuring out how to play him, and that's going to be the case no matter who starts here. So, and it's not an easy early slate. That first 4 games are pretty difficult. So I think Shough will end up being the guy, but I just don't know if he's going to start the year. I could easily see them starting Spencer Rattler, and then look, if Spencer Rattler plays well and takes off, then they got the best case scenario. I think they've got 2 guys that they like.
Yeah, no doubt. Do you think it means anything that last week, the Friday practice before they played the Chargers, Kellen Moore said after practice, yes, Spencer's going to start on Sunday. He did not say one way or the other after yesterday's practice, which is the last time he'll speak before Sunday's game. Does that mean anything, Rod, or is that just there's still 3 days and I haven't had a chance to talk to them? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, for me, I think it was so far in advance of the game that he just didn't tip his hand yet. But I do expect Shough to start, but maybe he sticks with Rattler. But I think you should give Shough a chance with the first team unit.
I just think in the interest of equal time,
yeah,
which has been obviously important to Kellen Moore and staff the whole training camp. Rattler started against the Chargers. Now you give Shough a chance, and then Jeff, I think you got to make a call.
Yeah, I think we're a little bit guilty of reading way too much into who's starting and all that. I mean, the reps. I don't think that's a consideration in the thought process of the coaches. I don't think that's indicating anything. I think they're just rotating guys, and we're getting too caught up in that. But I would say the one thing that is somewhat evident, I think, is whenever one of these guys kind of is under a little pressure, like it feels like they're not performing very well. Early on in camp, everybody thought Shough was the guy, and he was really struggling with the pressure a little bit, it felt like. And then once Rattler kind of took the lead, he had a chance to start the Chargers game. Didn't perform, frankly, very well. And Shough didn't have much pressure on him. He gets to come in. It feels like that's the way this thing's going. Whenever you start to say this is the guy, that pressure is on them and all expectations are on them, and they haven't performed that well. So I'm looking for one of these two to perform in that situation, because let's face it, when they get out there in the season opener, there's going to be huge expectations, and it's going to be much harder. So we'll see if one of them steps up. I think whoever plays the best in this game is probably going to end up being the starter. That's just my
Do you think they name a starter next week?
I don't know if they'll name them, but I think internally they'll have named one.
Well, it'll become evident in practice reps, I guess, at that point.
Yeah.
I mean,
if they let us see that part, who knows? I mean, I think there is something to be said for them trying to keep it as best they can a secret. I mean, it'll get out. It always does, but there's no reason to let anybody know who's going to start. There's a little difference in those two guys, so strategically I could see them doing. But I think they're going to want to know, because they're going to have to start feeding more reps, and they'll start working on the Cardinals soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Speaking of the games, when we come back, we will dig into Saints Jaguars and what you can watch for in the New Orleans Saints' second preseason game.
Did they ask you to do the commercial too?
Yeah, but they just gave me one line.
Bet like a Caesar. Like, we're going to sit here and we're going to tell them how Caesar's Sportsbook is just so easy to use that you can watch and bet thousands of sports events, even some NFL games.
They'll probably show us betting on our favourite players and teams at all the Vegas hotspots too.
Like, we have time for that montage.
I told him I couldn't do it.
They couldn't afford me.
All right, welcome back to the Saints Insider Podcast. You can find all the Saints Insider episodes on our YouTube channel, the New Orleans Saints at NOLA.com. We've also got practice videos, some interviews, things up of that nature. So subscribe to the channel, sign up for notifications, give us a thumbs up while you're there, and leave a comment. Going to dig into the Saints Jaguars preseason game. The last time we were in the Dome for a football game, it was Super Bowl 49. Now we've got Saints Jags preseason, baby. It's close to the same thing.
Yeah, who's the halftime performance? Do we know?
Did we get Kendrick Lamar back?
Kendrick.
I forgot. Actually,
they actually sent us out. Yeah, they did send
Oh,
us
they
out.
did.
I don't want to
It's a flag football game, like a kid's flag football game.
That makes sense. It might be more entertaining than the actual game.
Can we call one team Drake and the other team Kendrick, and we can at least maybe we'll get the.
I am excited about seeing Travis Hunter. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, we can talk
I
about
assume he's
him.
going to play.
That's true. The Jaguars look like they're going to play a lot of starters. Trevor Lawrence said he expects to play. Travis Hunter will be fun.
Brian Thomas Jr.
is a team that in the Jaguars that if they're playing their starters, I think they expect to make a run in a weak division. Like the Texans are the favorite in that division, but Jacksonville won it a couple years ago. There's no reason they couldn't make a run at it again. So of the three preseason games, this one sets up to be the most interesting from both what the Saints are going to do and what the opponent is going to do. So let's dig into it a little bit. We'll start when the Saints have the ball. Starting with the QBs, Rod, you said you expect Shough to get out there first. I think that's, and then maybe give Rattler the 2-minute drill at the end of the first half. See what he can do in that situation. I mean, that seems like if you're trying to make this even, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, for me, I think, that's what I would do with quarterback. But for me, Jeff talked about the running game, but the Saints didn't run the ball well against the Chargers, and I think they need to do that. And this is a team that they, maybe you can do that against. The Jags didn't do a good job of stopping the Steelers in that first preseason game. So, you want to see the Saints be able to run the ball. I think we probably won't see as many passes as we saw last week, but
maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
If they fall behind, I don't know. Yeah.
That's
I mean,
true.
it wasn't just falling behind. They were 3rd and 9 every drive.
Right.
So at that point, you almost have to throw. What's the point in running at that point? Outside of the QBs, Jeff, well, actually, let's stay there for a second. What do you want to see out of these guys?
I want to see them operate the offense, have a little more, sustained drives, put the ball in the end zone. There were a couple of times that things seemed a little helter-skelter with both of them, which I guess is to be expected. But that's something that I know Kellen Moore's been emphasizing is who's going to operate the offense. I know at one point Moore had to call a timeout because they almost got to delay a game. To Spencer Rattler, you could see there was just confusion. The receivers were looking back at him. Those kind of things are what I want to see them have ironed out for this game. And then I want to see them, not the quarterbacks, but I'm really interested in seeing Kendre Miller. I thought he looked good against the Chargers. I thought he was arguably the best offensive player they have. This guy's got talent, man. I mean, he's a talented dude, and I like the explosiveness he's playing with. He's falling forward. He's getting extra yards after contact. He could lock down, I think, the backup job with another strong performance.
Yeah, he did look good while the starting O-line was still in the game for that brief period. Do we expect to see more starters? I mean, you think like guys like Olave, should he get out there for a series or two?
I wouldn't.
If you were going to,
wouldn't
this is the game.
I'd have those guys in glass, man.
Those guys,
Those two especially.
Maybe I picked the wrong names, but Eric McCoy, like a series or two just to get some live reps in.
For me, the depth on his team is just so thin that to me it's not even worth the risk for guys like McCoy. I mean, he knows what he's doing on. He doesn't need. I don't think he needs the reps. I mean, he's Eric McCoy.
So he's the real McCoy, you might say.
He's the real McCoy.
On the offensive line, I am curious to see, like Dylan Radins lined up a tackle, did not go well. Although, as Matt pointed out Wednesday, his PFF grade was like strangely good from that game.
Yeah, well, somebody pointed out the PFF grades in preseason, do not even consider them because there's such a limited amount, the way they grade, you need a big body of work. And so you get like 8 reps and like one play can just completely tank your.
So let's assume that Dylan Radins is going to play some guard this week. Is that am I thinking about that right? If we're talking O-line rotation, they got to get a look at him there.
I think he has to play left guard. And look, I think we saw how intentional they were in the opener, where they played certain guys a lot because they wanted to get a long look. I mean, defensively, like Colin Saunders was out there for a long time. I think they're basically looking at him whether he's going to make the team or not. Certain guys, Foskey played a lot, didn't do much. That's not a good sign. I mean, I think they're putting him out there, 1, to see if they can produce, 2, if they're going to keep them, and 3, maybe letting other teams look at them, give them a shot because they know they're not going to make the team. I think there's a definite strategy behind some of these veteran players that are on the field a lot in these preseason games.
All right, so that's when the Saints have the ball. If we flip it around. Go ahead.
I was mentioning receivers. I mean, we didn't really talk about them, but if Olave and Rashid don't play, I mean, we still haven't seen anybody like step up and grab that third spot. I mean, Mason Tipton obviously had the big touchdown.
But you'd like to see more consistency.
From him and guys like Kevin Austin who played with the Jags. He started off with the Jags, but somebody has to step up and be that other guy, and this is a really good opportunity for somebody to do it, assuming that Olave and Rashid don't play.
The 2 veteran guys in that group, Cedric Wilson, Brandon Cooks.
Donovan Peoples-Jones.
And Donovan Peoples-Jones.
None of them.
Although I would say Peoples-Jones, his spot is certainly in jeopardy. But the other 2, do you think their roster spots are in jeopardy? Either one of them?
With Bud Means going down, I mean, I think Cedric Wilson probably I think he's probably pretty safe, but I think he still needs to do something, though. I mean,
what about Cooks?
I don't see how they can cut.
They just don't have anybody to take the spots.
Right.
But I'd like to see something from.
Yeah,
them.
I mean, Sean Payton used to always say, I don't need to see it every day, but I got to see it at some point.
Yeah. With
these veteran guys, that's kind of where I'm at with Cooks. But I mean, a good example, if you remember, they threw a screen, kind of a bubble screen. It was I think Spencer threw it out in the right flat to one of the receivers or backs, and Cedric Wilson was in the slot. He was supposed to go out and block the corner, and he just ran right by him. And whoever it was for the Saints got lit up for like a 2-yard loss. You could see the receivers coach throwing his hands up. I mean, these kind of mistakes like that don't help his cause in making the roster. Now, I do think we haven't talked about Velus Jones, but Rod was the first one to kind of point him out to me in camp early on. And the more I've watched him, the more I like what I'm seeing. Like, I think this guy's got something. And he played a lot in this scrimmage the other day. If you notice, a lot of balls going to him. And I think he brings something, kind of a poor man's Deebo Samuels, kind of can take the ball in jet sweeps. You could see in the Chargers game, I mean, he had the defense had an angle on him, and he outran the angle. He showed explosiveness. They don't have really anybody like that. So I think he's got a real strong shot. I'll be surprised if he doesn't make the 53, but I also think they want to get him in the flow. So I think he's another guy to watch because I think he brings an element that they really don't have. And to Rod's point, there's no third receiver stepped up. Juwan Johnson's probably going to be the third receiving option in this team, but they need another one.
I can't wait for our bold prediction show. I think Rod will have a Velus Jones take.
Oh, yeah.
He's got in the oven.
I'm going to have him beating Rashid in that race he talked about.
Yeah, there we go.
That'd be a good race.
We got to live stream that. It's good. Take him out to the Shrine on Airline or something. We'll have a little competition out there. Okay, when the Jaguars have the ball, as mentioned, Trevor Lawrence said he expects to play. Liam Cohen, the Jags' new head coach, did not say either way, but I do think if you look at the betting line for this game, which is Jaguars by 3.5 or 4.
Betting line on a preseason game is
the reason I bring it up, because I know it's like, okay, go call the hotline, right? But the reason I bring it up is because if the line is that wide in a preseason game, it usually means somebody thinks the starters are playing for one side or the other. And I think the Jags will give their starters some work. And I'm curious to see, are the Saints going to throw some starting defenders out there and try to get them some good reps for let's say 2 drives?
Yeah, probably. I mean, would Alante be? Well,
Alante's banged up,
but he's banged up. But I'm saying, so you probably want to see some of these guys out there. I don't know if you really need to see the safeties. I think Julian Blackman is, he had his 3rd interception in 3 days yesterday. So I don't know if you really need to see what he can do anymore.
Chase
You don't
Young,
really see Justin Reed. Like
Davin Godchaux.
I probably wouldn't, but I just think Chase Young's done enough, and Godchaux's probably good enough. Like
Rod says, you rest everybody.
I'm resting everybody. Yeah, I just think the depth's so thin on this team. Like you can't. It's just not worth it.
Yeah,
but I mean, I know you can do it for a series or 2, but
there's a point to be made there. I also think, like, if you're worried they're going to get hurt in one series, how are we getting through 17 games too? Like, it may be a player by player basis, but like if you can't get them out there for 2 series and get them back to the sideline safely, that does not portend well for 17 weeks, 18 weeks.
You didn't watch the Pelicans' schedule release, getting rid of the bad luck video yesterday, did you?
I did not.
Okay. Yeah, you need to watch it.
The black cat and the ladder.
They just talked about being cursed and how
It's actually a very good video.
But anyway,
when a team is leaning into being cursed, I'm not sure that's a good
That's
sign.
how you do it. That's how you lean into it, man. It was smart.
That's how you reverse it, man. You got to embrace it.
You got to own it. I want to see what they do in the secondary. I mean, Alante's banged up, but there's a big drop-off behind him to somebody that's going to play that star position. I think Ugo Amadi's the first guy up right now. Burgess, I think, is the other one. But I think Quincy Riley's going to get a lot of reps. I think they'd like him to eventually win that other starting cornerback spot. Ike Yiadom, I thought, played well against the Chargers, but eventually I think they'd like to see Riley nail that spot down, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and then your star guy is Alante Taylor. Alante probably starts out on the outside. But that's something to watch. I mean, that's a kind of an open competition right now in the secondary. But I'm with Rod. I mean, I don't need to see any more from Blackman. I mean, he's been arguably their best guy back there for most of camp. I think they've, in some ways, and I'm the biggest Tyrann Mathieu fan in the world, but in some ways I think they may have upgraded because he's just further along. He's younger and more dynamic at this stage of his career than probably even Tyrann was late in his career.
Yeah, he's in his prime.
Yeah,
right?
So with him and Reed, I think you feel pretty good about your safeties. Now behind them, it's a crapshoot. I think that's another area they got to get more depth at.
And I would expect the Jags. I don't know how much Travis will play, but he only had like 2 catches last week, and I think they kind of want to see more what he can do at receiver. So it'll be a good test for these cornerbacks for the Saints.
Yeah, you don't have to use too much imagination to see a Saints defense that is not bad. I mean, I don't know if they're going to be a top 10 unit in the league or anything, but at least like a league average unit. You can see, okay, Davon Godchaux is your big body in the middle. Brian Brzee moves to the outside and breaks out. Chase Young has a big season. You've got your veteran linebacker steady in the middle, and then as you mentioned, maybe a couple of young corners can take over the job, and you've got 2 veteran safeties who can anchor everything. Like you don't have to imagine now the depth. That's another question, but I don't think it's being overly optimistic to say we could see a big jump.
Yeah, for me, I think they can make a big jump. I think what will be important is the offense still needs to be good. The offense can't go 3 and out, and the defense is on the field, 70 snaps a game.
What makes you think that would happen?
So, I mean, I think they just need to – I think the offense will have to complement them a little bit. I don't think the defense can just carry this team if the offense is really bad.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they could be definitely a middle of the pack or better.
Yeah, no, there is a world where that happens for sure.
You got to stay mostly healthy, I think, because once you start going down the depth chart, you're going I don't know. It's Isaiah Foskey and –
yeah, I mean, you can even see when they played against the Chargers, they were getting a long look at Stutzman, Riley, some of these young rookies. I think those guys are going to be on the field in the rotation. But I still think there's a kind of a jumble. Other than Brzee, who's the other defensive tackle opposite Godchaux? Is it Blackman? I don't know. Is it Nathan Shepard? That's kind of an open competition, I feel like.
Yeah, that's a spot to watch for sure. Another spot to watch as we transition into special teams would be the punter. I was on Jim Derry's podcast this morning, and I floated the idea the Saints just don't punt all year. Like, if there's ever a year to do it, just see if it works, man. I'm joking, but I don't know that it matters. Like, Kai Kroger versus James
we get
Byrne.
into punter talk now? Is that what we're doing?
You know what's more interesting to me? Okay, Blake Grupe looks very good. He's very solid. The Saints made a point of giving Charlie Smith a 50-yard try. They didn't have to do that last week. They did it. Are they just allowing him to showcase for other teams? Just trying to get him some live game reps and going to stash him on the practice squad again?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's out there practicing every day, working. You wouldn't get him in the game. I mean, yeah, it's no different than any other position. You don't need to see Blake Grupe. So, but I mean, he's got a long way to go. We got the guy this week that made the 70-yarder.
That's right.
What's his name? Not Charlie. I can't. Cam something.
Cam Lee.
Cam Little?
Cam Little.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be fun. Maybe we do get a
70 versus
70-yarder.
70, yeah.
That's going to be the most exciting thing. The two potential 70-yard kickers are in this game.
Okay, I'm going to say it right now. If it's like 3rd and 3 from your own 47, take a knee so we can see this. Both teams. We got to see.
I mean, if you think about that, I was thinking about it the other day. So that means you get a kickoff with, say, 20 seconds left in the first half. Literally, all you have to do is complete kind of one pass.
Yeah.
And you can kick a field goal.
And like Little was outdoors last week, right? Theoretically, I don't know if there was a lot of wind or something, but theoretically you could kick it farther in a dome. Let's see it, man. I want Charlie Smith, Cam Little.
And he had some room on it. It didn't barely cross the crossbar. I mean, he had a good 3 or 4. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Kicking, I think, is the advances not only with the accuracy, but also the distance and the accuracy in the NFL in the last 10, 15 years. It's underappreciated how far that's gone. Go back and look at like Morton Anderson, who's obviously in the Hall of Fame, was a great kicker, but I mean, it pales in comparison to what they're doing now.
At some point, there needs to be a rule change just for the sake of strategy, because you don't want to have football where teams in field goal range after one first down. Like, that kind of changes the game fundamentally.
You're not going to kick a field goal if it's not the end of
probably not
at the end of a half. I mean, you're not going to take the chance.
Unless guys get so good that
yeah.
becomes more of a, like, you can make it 60% of the time or something. Maybe you would be more willing to try.
I think they should make it like worth 4 points. I'm going to go like an NBA three-pointer. Let's go 4 points.
If you can make one longer than 60, it's worth 4 points.
Come on, man. That's jazzed up. That's what we do in our fantasy league. Why not make it more fun? You know?
That's true.
This is the most time we'll spend on special teams the entire year, I guarantee.
That is true. That is true. Okay, so that's Saints-Jaguars on Sunday. Obviously, it's a preseason game. It is what it is, but we'll be in the Dome. Hope you join us for the post-game show after the Saints play the Jaguars. We're counting down now 3 weeks to the regular season, right?
Correct.
3 weeks from Sunday, the Saints play the Cardinals. So we're getting there. Just another a week from Tuesday, we got cut-down day. So next week, a lot of 53-man talk going into that last preseason game. Anything else you guys have on your mind?
No, it'll be interesting to get back in the Dome. You know, since you mentioned the first time since the and look, we're approaching the Katrina anniversary, so it'll be interesting to see if the Dome does anything to recognize that in the next couple of weeks. With everything that went into that and that building, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of Katrina documentaries in the next few weeks.
It's interesting. The third preseason game is August the 23rd. Which is, almost a week before Katrina, but Sean Payton will be there. That's kind of interesting. If they do it, I think that's the day to do some sort
Agreed. And I think they will do some kind of acknowledgement of that. I mean, I can still remember, not to get derailed here, but I can still remember being in the Dome Friday night of that weekend. They were playing the the Ravens, Baltimore Ravens. And in the press box, as we were writing our stories after the game, we didn't even know the name of the storm. This shows you how crazy it was. It was Friday night. Somebody yelled out, "What's the name of the storm out in the Gulf?" And it was like somebody said Katrina, and we got it. But that's how it was not on people's minds.
And that was, 4 days before?
No, it was
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
The next day is when they ordered the mandatory evacuation.
Okay.
They
so
ordered
3
it.
days before the
Sunday, everyone was out of town. And
2 days before evacuation, 3 days before the storm.
Yeah, but Friday night, like late, almost midnight, no one even knew what the name of the storm was. That's how, quick that thing came up on us, because everybody just thought it was going to go across the southern part of Florida and kind of curve. No one knew it was going to take an abrupt turn and go right at us. And that all happened kind of overnight Friday. And by Saturday, Mayor Nagin said, "This is the big one." That's when it all hit.
Yeah.
So I can still remember that vividly. And I remember talking to Ozzie Newsome about it because they had to get out of town, the Ravens, and he said, because they were just been there, the Ravens were, totally, focused on the storm because they'd just gotten out ahead of it. And then the Saints, of course, ended up out in San Jose and all, history after that.
Yep. Big time anniversary coming up for that too. So keep it locked here. We'll have the post-game show for you on Sunday and be back with 2 more Saints Insider podcasts brought to you by Bank Plus next week. For our producer, Norman Bell, he is Rod Walker. He is Jeff Duncan. I am Zach Ewing. Thank you for hanging out, and we will see you next time.